Hare Krishna. Okay, now we'll deal with some points that come up in the second half of the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita. First of all, let us look at this. There are different types of activities that can be performed. I have already mentioned that dharma is there, and dharma refers to activities which are taught in the Vedas, which are prescribed in the Vedas, in Vedic literature. The opposite of dharma is adharma, and I have noted that also. Now, I also pointed out that dharma is of two types. There is general dharma and there is specific dharma. Now, general dharma is also called spiritual dharma. Specific dharma is also called material dharma. But it is possible to have different combinations of these activities. I have set out various possible combinations here. This column represents spiritual dharma. This column represents material dharma. And this third column represents adharma. Each row represents a certain combination. For instance, in the first combination, a person may be performing spiritual dharma, but he does not perform material dharma, nor does he perform adharma. In the second combination, a person is carrying out his spiritual dharma. He's also carrying out his material dharma, but is skipping adharma. In the third combination, you can see that I am referring to a circumstance where a person is performing spiritual dharma and material dharma and adharma too. The fourth combination has a person performing spiritual dharma, does not perform material dharma, but falls into adharma. In the fifth combination, I have a circumstance where a person does not engage in spiritual dharma or Krishna consciousness, but carries out material dharma and also skips adharma. The sixth possible combination has no spiritual dharma, but performance of material dharma and adharma. And the seventh last possible combination is no spiritual dharma, no material dharma, but engaging in adharma. So these are the various possible combinations of these activities. Now, combination number one is the goal. This is what we are trying to come up to. That our goal is we want to engage in Krishna consciousness without material dharma or adharma. We want to come to that. That is the ideal of a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Keep in mind, it is spiritual dharma but no material dharma and no adharma also. It is not combination number 4. It is combination number 1. Keep that in mind. There is a very big difference between these two combinations. Another point to be noted is combination number 2 can be accepted as a means to combination number 1. This is standard. This is standard, and in fact this is what we generally promote for ourselves and others, that let us engage in the activities of Bhagavata dharma, spiritual dharma, and let us also engage in our material prescribed duties corresponding to our varna, ashrama, gender and so on, and let us give up all forms of adharma, all forms of sinful activities, all forms of offenses. And after we are well established in this, and we do not keep slipping down, when we are well established in combination number 2, then we should try to move to combination number 1 by increasing spiritual dharma. When we increase our spiritual dharma, automatically the time for material dharma goes down, so it eventually becomes 0. So this combination of activities has to be understood. Now, even though I have noted that one must engage in material dharma while carrying out combination 2 of activities, even though there is material dharma, that material dharma has to be performed in a certain manner. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a book called Amnaya Sutra. It's a very, very important book. perhaps later on, if Lord Krishna so decides, we will take this up separately. But he has given a statement there which clarifies how material dharma fits into Krishna consciousness. So he writes this. This is directly modeled after a Bhagavatam verse from the third canto, spoken by Devahuti. So this statement is Yatra dharmaya karma viragaya dharma chid rasaya viragas tatra gauna rupena karmabhideyam. When material activities are performed for Vedic dharma, when Vedic dharma is executed to attain renunciation, and when renunciation is accepted for attaining spiritual mellows of love of God, then those material activities are accepted as subsidiary means. So, in other words, we commonly say that when our material duties are favorable to Krishna consciousness, then we accept them. And the meaning of favorable is this, that first of all we are performing our eating, sleeping, mating, defending within Vedic dharma. And Vedic dharma is executed to come to the mode of goodness, renunciation. Vedic dharma can also be performed simply to enjoy the bodily and mental happiness that comes out of executing Vedic dharma. But that is not, if that should not be our goal. Our goal should be to become detached and renounced from material enjoyment, whether sinful material enjoyment or even pious material enjoyment. We want to come to the platform of renunciation from that. So one should have that as a goal. But even that is not enough, because one might accept renunciation, but he may within his heart he may desire impersonal liberation, or he may desire even personal liberation. But distinct from both of them is the desire to attain the spiritual mellows of pure love of God. In other words, if one desires to become qualified to simply please Krishna, then for that you need some renunciation. So when that type of renunciation has attaining prema bhakti as its goal, so if one fulfills all of these conditions, then those material activities are accepted as subsidiary means. They are accepted as being favorable to bhakti yoga, and so tentatively they can be accepted as an accessory to bhakti yoga. So this has to be understood. In Bhagavad-gita, if you read through it fully, then you come to this conclusion that these conditions must be fulfilled. Then one's material activities are accepted as co-important or co-essential along with bhakti yoga. There are certain milestones in spiritual life. This is brought out by Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan and Acharya Ramanuja. Both of them say that first of all one must accomplish this. One's mind and senses should be fully under one's control. The second achievement that one is meant to make sure one gets is one should realize that he is a self different from the body. Theoretical knowledge that the self is different from the body, that is required. Without that, you cannot even execute dharma. Whether one executes spiritual dharma or material dharma, one must understand that he is not the body. One must understand that he is a spirit soul. One must understand that he reincarnates. One must understand that that reincarnation happens according to karma. So all of that is based on theoretical knowledge of the self. But after one attains mastery over the mind and senses, the next step is he should somehow become self-realized. Somehow meaning one should attempt to gain Krishna's favor, to become self-realized. Then the third step is realization of the Supreme Lord's name, form, qualities, pastimes, abode and associates. So whether one takes up, now there are various pathways, we will come to this later on, of spiritual progress, from karma yoga to jnana yoga to bhakti yoga, or directly from karma yoga to bhakti yoga, or directly you can take up bhakti yoga. Whichever pathway you take up, Eventually, this will be the items for assessment. Have you attained complete control of the mind and senses? If you have done it, then are you self-realized? If so, the next question would be, have you realized the Supreme Lord's nature? So these are milestones in spiritual life, and practicing bhakti yogis and aspiring bhakti yogis should repeatedly try to remind themselves and similar other bhakti yogis about this. Are we progressing or are we regressing? Okay, then one more lesson we can learn from the second half of Bhagavad-gita chapter 2 is that if you look at the combination of activities, if one wants to move from combination 6 to combination 5, it is simply a waste of time. Let me explain what this means. Look at this. Look at combination 6. No Krishna consciousness, but one is executing material dharma and one is also engaging in adharma. Let us say one has a desire to come to combination number 5. From combination number 6, one has a desire to come to combination number 5. What is combination number 5? No Krishna consciousness, no sinful activities, only engaging in pious activities. Now this is doomed to be a failure, because without Krishna consciousness you cannot get out of sinful life. Let us say you are here in this circumstance. You engage in activities of Krishna consciousness, you also engage in your material prescribed duties, and you also are engaging in sinful activities, and you want to become pure. You want to attain complete control over the mind and senses. So the first step in that is to give up sinful life permanently in such a way that you don't fall back into it. Now, in order to get rid of adharma, one has to come to this or one has to come to this. In other words, you must execute your spiritual dharma of Krishna consciousness. You must execute your common duty. Remember those 30 items that I had brought up earlier? One must execute them. Without this, you cannot become free from sinful life. So therefore I say that it is useless to try to move from combination 6 to combination 5.